Today we're doing lesson 6.22, problems about perimeter and area. It says, create a class banner. Jada's teacher bought a poster paper that measures 36 inches by 24 inches. Her plan is to cut the paper into pieces, rearrange them, and tape them back together to create a welcome banner that is 8 inches tall and 8 feet long. So she's got kind of a big rectangle piece of paper that she wants to cut and make into a long welcome banner. And so the first question is, does she have enough paper to make the banner? Explain, show your reasoning. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to see how many square inches are inside the box. How do we find the number inside the box, Evan?
You find the width and the length.
And then what do you do with the width and the length?
You find out what it is, and then if it's a match, you put 36 under 36 and 24 by 24.
How do you find the area?
You have to add them.
No. Audrey?
You times 30, 36 times 24, and then that would be the answer. How many square feet?
Area equals length times the width. Remember, it's just like an array, right? So 36 across, 24 down the side. If we drew the lines, the grid lines, there would be 24 going across and 36 down, and that would tell us how many boxes. But since they didn't draw the grid lines, we've got to figure out. And so we're going to figure out what the area is. This is important, guys, that you understand that you get the area by multiplying the length times the width. So we're going to multiply 36 times 24 using an area model. And so up here is going to be 30. And what would go here? If I wrote 30 here, 6. And then here,
24.
No.
4 goes
and
down.
Yep. Okay.
That's what I learned.
Olivia, what two numbers do you multiply together to get what's in this box? Yeah. Give yourself a point. 20 times 30. And Avis, what about this box?
20 times 6.
20 times 6, that's correct. And Cameron, what about this box?
30 times 4.
You're right on the numbers, wrong on the order. Remember, we look left first, then on top. So say it in the right order.
20 times 4.
To the left. What's to the left of this box?
4 times 30.
4 times 30. Okay. We look to the left and then on top. Okay. And Evan, for this box.
6, 4 and 6.
4 times 6. Okay. So 2 times 3 is 6. Add 2 zeros. 2 times 6 is 12. Add 1 0. 4 times 3 is 12. Add 1 0. And 4 times 6 is 24. The last step, stack them and add them. 600, 120, 120, and 24. When we add those together, we will get 864 square inches. So the area is 864 inches squared. Write that down inside the box. That's the area. Okay. So that's how many square inches that she has. Now, how can we figure out whether she has enough? We figured out how much she has, but what do we still have to figure out? What do we have to figure out now, Colton?
I think we do 8 divided by the answer.
No. Brooklyn?
The length.
We have to find So remember, she's wanting to cut this into pieces and make a banner that is the length is 8 inches tall, so 8 inches by 8 feet long. 8 feet. What would you have to do to see? Zerelda?
Times it.
Times it, except, do you see a problem?
Wait,
Harper?
It's feet and inches.
It is. We've got 2 different units of measurement. So since the original one was inches and one of our measurements inches, let's turn 8 feet into inches. So we're gonna have to do a conversion factor. 1 foot is how many inches?
12.
12 inches. And we have 8 feet. So how many inches would that be? Jackson?
96.
96 inches. So I'm going to change this 8 feet and make it 96 inches. Now what do we need to do, Zerelda?
Times it.
Times what?
Times 8 times 96.
Which is the length and the width, which means we're finding the
Area.
So we need to multiply 8 times 96. Now, this little diagram that I've already drawn here is going to be perfect for this. I'm just going to split it into 90 and 6. And for this box, what do we multiply together, Ari? 8 times 90. And Todd, what about this box?
8 times 6.
Yep. So 8 times 9 is 72. Add your 0. And 8 times 6 is 48. So then we're going to stack them and add them. 720 plus 48. When you add those together, you get 768. So the banner they're wanting to make is 768 square inches. Fisher, will it work? Jackson?
Yes.
How come? Fisher, focus. How much do we have?
864 inches.
And how big is our banner?
720. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. 768.
Do we have enough?
Yes.
Yes, because 864 is greater than 768. Okay? All right, so does she have enough paper to make the banner? Yes. She has 864 square inches and needs 700, what is it, 68 square inches. So she has enough. The next question we already figured out. How many square inches is the poster paper? So that wants to know the area. So we did 36 times 24 equals 864 inches squared. And after you get that copy, turn the page. And these are my favorite. Oh,
I like a challenge.
it is a challenge. Okay. She has enough. Okay. Replace the classroom carpet. A classroom is getting new carpet and baseboards. I would love that.
Oh yeah.
I would love to get new carpet and baseboards. Baseboards, you know, are these things that run around, run around the perimeter. That is a true statement. They do run around the room, but I was thinking about a math term. Okay, so the baseboards run along the perimeter, and the carpet, though, is inside the area. Okay, so it says here is Tyler and a couple of his friends are helping to take the measurements. Here's a sketch of the classroom and the measurements they recorded. Do you notice any problems with these measurements? Athena?
Some are in yards, inches, and feet.
That's right. We don't have any consistency, right? So let's go and look at the question they want us to answer. How many feet of baseboards will they need to replace in the classroom? So they're wanting to know perimeter and in feet. So we need to start by turning, the feet measurements are fine, but we've got to turn inches into feet and yards into feet. So who can refresh our memory? How many inches are in 1 foot? Devin? 12. 12 inches, that's correct. Put yourself down for a point. And how about how many feet are there in 1 yard? Jackson?
10.
No? Ari?
3.
3, yes. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. So, okay. So we need to go and we're going to do the inches first. We're going to do 1 foot is 12 inches. And then, so 180 inches would be how many feet? So, Zerelda, what do we have to multiply 12 times to get 180?
Oh,
I don't know.
you have to first draw your box, then
No. Emma? So, let me ask a different question. When you're missing what you need to multiply, so in a multiplication problem, if you're missing one of the numbers, what do you have to do to find it? Emma? Zerelda?
divide.
Divide, yes. So we have to divide here to figure out what we multiply 12 times to get 180. So we are going to divide 180 by 12. Okay, so what row are we going to use? The 12 row. The first thing I'm going to take away is going to be 120. Because if I'm looking at this, I will look at, if you still have trouble figuring out, put your feet down please. If you still have trouble figuring out what numbers to subtract here, look at the first 2 numbers and go over here to the 12th row and find a number that's smaller than those first 2 numbers. What did I underline? 18. 24 is too big, so I'm going to use 12 with a 0 behind it. Take that away and get 60. And what do you multiply 12 times to get 120? 10. So 10 comes up top. And then, is there a 60 on the 12 row?
Yes.
Yes. So then we're going to just take off 60 because our goal is to get to
0.
And what do you multiply 12 times to get 60? 5. So 5 comes up on top, and what's 10 plus 5?
15.
15. So what do you multiply 12 times to get 180?
15.
And if you do it to the bottom,
You do it to the top.
1 times 15 equals?
15.
So in 180 inches, there are 15 feet. So underneath 180 inches, guys, I want you to put in parentheses 15 feet right now.
Okay.
Okay, then we got to turn the other inches. So if it had, instead of 180, this time we've got to turn 204 inches into feet by dividing 204 by 12. Now, if I come over here, I know from a second ago that I can take off 180 because I know 12 times 15 is 180, right? I just figured that out on the last problem. So I'm going to put a 15 right here and take that away and get 24. Is there a 24 in the 12 row?
Yes.
Go look and see.
Yes.
And there is. So what do you multiply 12 times to get 24?
2.
2. So I'm going to put that 2 on top of the 15. 15 plus 2 is?
17.
And there is our answer. So 12 times 17 is 204. So 1 times 17 is 17 feet. So now we're going to go to 204 inches. And underneath it in parentheses, write 17 feet. So now we've turned the inches into feet. Now we have to turn the yards into feet. And the turning yards into feet, I think, is easier because we have to multiply instead of divide. So 1 yard is 3 feet. We have 3 yards. And what do you multiply 1 times to get 3? 3. And if you do it to the top,
You do it to the bottom.
so how many feet are in 3 yards? 9. So underneath 3 yards, we're going to put 9 feet in parentheses. And then we just have to change one more. We got to change 4 yards into feet. So what would you multiply 1 times to get 4?
44.
And if you do it to the top,
You do it to the bottom.
and what's 3 times 4?
12.
12. So now we know that 4 yards is 12 feet. So we've turned them all into feet, right? So, did you hear yourself? What about 8 feet? Oh, it is feet. So what do we need to do to find the perimeter? Add them all up, right? Add all of them. So I'm going to start with the biggest one. We've got 15, and then, oh, no, 17 is bigger. 17, 15, 12, 9, 8, and 3. Is that all of them?
Yep.
Okay. So I know 8 and 2 are 10, and I know 7 and 3 are 10. So that would be 20. Plus 5 would be 25.
It's a hex.
So 20 plus 5 is 25, plus 9 more would equal what? 34. So we put down the 4, carry the 3. 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So the perimeter of this figure is 17 plus 15 plus 12 plus 9 plus 8 plus 3 equals 64 feet. Are you getting this written down?
Yes.
1,200 inches. Wait a minute, did I miss something? I don't think so. Okay, 1,200 inches of baseboard material. Oh, inches. 1,200 inches of. I missed this. This is what I missed. How many inches is that? So we've got to turn to 64 feet into inches. So yes, 1 foot is 12 inches, and we have 64 feet. So what do you multiply 1 times to get 64? And if you do it to the top, so now we have to multiply 12 times 64. That's what I forgot to do. All right, so I'm going to do my area model. I'm going to put 60 and 4 and 10 and 2 for the 12. You with me? Okay. Tell me what we multiply together in this box, Devin.
We multiply 10 times 60.
Yep, 10 times 60, and what would that equal, Devin?
That would equal 600.
Yep, all right, put yourself down for a point. Athena, what would we multiply together for this box?
10 times 4.
And what does that equal?
40.
Yep. And Harbor, what do we multiply together for this box?
2 times 60.
And what does that equal? 120. Okay. And then what do we multiply for this box? This box, Olivia. And what does that equal? Yep, that's right. Last step. Colton, what's our last step?
We need to add them all up.
Stack them and add them, right, Devin?
Yes.
Stack them and add them. Okay, so we have 600, 120, 40, and 80. If I add those all together, I will get 768 inches. Now, 64 feet or 768 inches. So the question was 1,200 inches of baseboard material was delivered. Is that enough? Yes. 1,200 is greater than 768 inches and inches. All right, last one. How many square feet of carpet are needed? So this is my favorite. Okay. So it's good we turned them all into feet because they wanted them in square feet. So if we look at this figure for a minute, it's not a perfect rectangle or square, right? Todd, when you have a figure like this that has like odd shaped, any suggestion on how we could find the area? Ari, you have an idea? Yes, we need to break it up into smaller parts. In this case, we can draw a line right where my pointer is, draw a line down, splitting it into 2 sections, and then figuring out the area of this section and that section, and then combining them. The only thing tricky about this, when you split them, you have to keep in mind you can only use certain numbers. Like on this one, we can't use the 17 feet here. Why not? Zerelda?
Because you split the 17 in half.
because the 17 covers two different figures now, right? So we can't use the 17. We can't split it in half even because we don't know if it's exactly half, and it's not. This one's 8, this one's 9. So we can't use the 17. So what two numbers will we multiply together, Fisher, to figure out the area of this box? Length times width.
8 feet times 15 feet.
Yep, because the 8 feet is going to cover the width, and the 15 is going to cover the length of this box. And then if we multiply those numbers together, then we'll get the entire box, right? So, for this box, we're going to multiply 8 feet times 15 feet. I wrote that too big. You guys have those numbers on your multiplication table, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
8 feet times 15 feet, what's that give you?
120.
120 feet squared, since we're doing area. What two numbers do we have to multiply together for this figure? Azil, what two numbers will we multiply to find the area of this one? Say that again? No, not a 3. We need it in feet.
Oh, 9 times 12.
Yes, 9 times 12. So we're going to do 9 times 12 over here because those are our feet measurements, and that gives us 108 feet squared. So the last step is to add those together. 120 feet squared plus 108 feet squared. When you add those together, you get 228 feet squared. So copy that down.